Okay, so as promised, let's just do spoiler review of Fast Nine. This we just kind of keep into the stuff that we like and stuff that we didn't like, right? We're not gonna spend a whole lot of time just analyzing every single shot or every sequence
Oh
or
my
whatnot,
God,
right?
yes,
Right.
yes.
So last time, I mean, Ricardo and I we reviewed it. We were somewhat fated, though. Well, for me, I felt that it was a step down from the previous film, right, Fate of the Furious. And I felt like it was just this sort of approach to this sort of like darker approach to the source to the material in a sense. You know, what I mean, this darker direction that they're going on all of a sudden, right? But just to kick things off, right? Because Ricardo, I mean, you can fall in whenever you want to, because we're
Yeah,
just talking spoilers here, right? But I actually like recap, F9, right? I mean, yes, I watch it over, right? Um, I warmed up to bit. I warmed up to it a little bit, right? Like I don't like not like it as much as I did, the first time around, right? I wasn't as disappointed the second time around. Like I kind of get now, right? But how I see it is pretty much like okay, after the unfortunate passing of Paul Walker, now we have 8 and 9, and this is like probably like the final chapter. If you want to call 8, 9, and 10, 10 that's coming up, like the final saga basically, right, of the franchise itself. So I just kind of looked at it as, you know what, well, all right, well, the show is wrapping up, so we kind of have to take things a little serious now. It can't just be about, people stealing high tech stuff and trying to take over the world, even though you have that there. You have to make it kind of personal there, and make it like real deep there, what I mean? So that's why I guess with, the previous film, Dominic Toretto, went rogue and all that kind of stuff, then, well, now here is his younger brother, Jacob, played by John Cena, right? Showing up and all that kind of stuff. So I sense that okay, this is just the direction they're gonna go, and the last one is where they're really gonna hit us with the drama there. But for me, I just felt like it's just those dramatic moments that kind of weigh the film down, not bring it down, but just weigh it down because yeah, we kind of come to see goofy, silly shit, but you just throw in all this heavy, dramatic stuff, right? And that's not to say that all the previous films never had that, but I felt like since it happened, Fate of the Furious, it's just been, oh my God, like, wow, we really need to feel this weight, but like, oh my God, like, when are we gonna get to the insane, action scenes, right? So that's just my take, just rewatching this, right? But on the action itself, right? It is still ridiculous and over the top, right? I did honestly. I think another reason why I was a little let down though is that I felt that we could have got a little bit more action. Because as I said in the past review, the trailers just spoiled so much. Like so what I'm watching sees like the whole cars and stuff and the stuff with the magnets all that kind of stuff is it's still like stuff that was spoiled in the past two trailers. So what I'm watching is just like but the trailers spoiled it, you know what I mean? But just to kick things off, well, Tracy and Alice, what were your thoughts on just the action sequences?
Well, from what you expect with the Fast and Furious movies, what do you expect? You have to kind of check your logic by the door with the Fast and Furious movies because they defy all law of physics and gravity. So you just kind of have to put that logical part of your mind way in the back there because I've seen some pretty crazy, impossible stunts with cars flying through the air and people catching people on top of the hoods of cars, which happened. I think it was repeated in the last, at least the last three or two um, Fast and Furious movies, and it's something that, like I said, it's not possible. Somebody would break a rib or something if they had to land on a car at that speed. So you're not gonna look at it with all this bunch of logic. You're just gonna look at, oh, look at the pretty vehicle flying through the air, and oh, look how it spins. Oh my goodness, look at that big truck just blew up. It's like that. It's kind of like watching a Michael Bay movie where it's all thrills, but there is no actual substance underneath it. That is how I look at the action. I just think that with every Fast and Furious movie, I just the action to me it started to bore me. and this one was no exception. This one was the worst, I thought, in terms of how far they were willing to take the action to too much of an impossible level, too much of an unbelievable level to me.
Right, right. I understand. Tracy, thoughts on the action scenes as a whole in this one here.
So here's the thing. Here's where I would throw this out. I hold this belief system that if Fast and Furious was um, acted by what we would call the A-listers, the A1 type actors, there would probably be a little bit more of a positive response in terms of, okay, so like yes, people do love Fast and Furious, but I mean like there'd be a little bit more buy-in. That's the word I want to use. There'd be a little bit more buy-in to it, because I think of, let's say for example, Matt Damon on The Martian, which is a movie that I watch almost every Sunday. And he's
Wow.
in, you know, I don't know how it happened, but it just started becoming Sunday, became Watch The Martian. And he's on Mars, everything is going haywire. He takes duct tape and uses duct tape to seal, and I mean earth duct tape, to seal his hatch when a storm is coming, and then he rips his suit to fly in space so that he could connect with the space shuttle. Basically, stuff like that. And then, I mean, but you know, he's Matt Damon, and then Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise. So when he decides to jump from one building to the other, or get, you know, defibrillated and then suddenly get up and go and jump in a car and drive off a cliff, there's an
I love that
understanding.
scene.
You know what I mean? There's an understanding. So, like for me, sitting down and watching the action sequences here, with I mean, and Vin is great and all, but Vin may very well qualify as B. Vin, Dwayne, Ludacris, all of them may qualify as B or C type actors. It's fun. It's like, I mean, I legitimately was smiling for the entire movie, because some of the stuff, I will agree with Alice in terms of some of this stuff really and truly is like, you really gonna do Tarzan off of that ledge? That's hilarious. Um, but I look at it and I think to myself, this is fun. This is kind of what a summer blockbuster is supposed to feel like, and I think they have cornered the market on summer blockbusters in that regard. Big action sequence, big set pieces, big location type pieces. Even the idea of doing that whole Tarzan thing of swinging over from one side with a you know, a grate, that kind of vibe. That is wholly and solely summer sit down and watch a movie and laugh and just get into that vibe. Also, on a side, it's actually meant to be not 9 and 10, but 10 and 11. So 10 and 11 are supposed to be the last in it, but I genuinely doubt that when 11 comes, that's going to be the end of it.
Right, right. Well, speaking of, the Martian, right? Now let's talk about, well, Ricardo's favorite moment, favorite aspect of Fast Nine, and that would be, Tyrese and Ludacris's characters going to
Yeah.
space. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
Right.
watching over again, I was like, yes, you're actually right, man. This really does work though, because it
yeah.
just
Oh my
actually,
gosh, you
I
already
love how
like
it's
that scene?
all. Yeah, well, here's why it works, right?
It's the most
Because of the
entertaining
setup.
scene.
It is. Because, like, for the first time ever, you saw Roman, be met and actually talk about, hey, we know all these times and all these crazy scenarios, and we actually come out of it alive there, you know what I mean? So it has to be something else going on there. So I like how they set it up there, right? So, it was only about that time, right? Before, the meme, that Abdul, or at least the question that everybody was wondering, hey, when's the day that they're going to go to space, right?
Yeah.
The fast crew, right? And it happened with these two guys there. So, it actually works. It actually makes sense. It's just like watching it again, it was just like, all right, here is the possibility, right? Like we showed it earlier. This is where we are right now. So in the next film, who knows? You could take it one step further there. You know what I mean? So yeah, for me that aspect of the film, works there because it's like by now they should have reached there, right? So that's how I see it. Agree or disagree?
I don't know. I just thought it just I don't know. That whole entire scene, I sat there and shook my head at the screen. It just did not work for me. I shook my head for the entire scene, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is what we reached."
Is
So
it
what?
because it was a Pontiac with a
Uh,
a rocket
Yes,
on
A
top
rocket
of it?
fuel on top of
that
it.
and they had on scuba diving gear. It,
But
it made no sense.
here's for me.
Scientifically, that made no sense. Oh my god.
Here for me is how they
I
managed
just
to save that. Go, finish, go ahead, and then I'll throw it out.
Yeah, no, it just scientifically, whatever little scientific background that I have, it just made no sense. And I understand, okay, you're not really supposed to take it that seriously, but it was hard. It took me out of the story. Watching, like I said, a Pontiac in a bunch of duct tape with
Right.
these two guys in scuba gear in space. I don't know. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm being too harsh on it, but that's how I felt.
Here's how for me like it kind of smoothed that over. One, I do remember a few years ago. I think it was after the Red Bull stunt. You remember the Red Bull stunt where the guy reached to the edge of the solar system and sorry, the solar system. What the hell, man? The edge of the planet and then bungee jumped off. After doing that, there was somebody I do remember that article who had, and I think it might have been Elon, who had his car had a car in space or something
Yeah, when
along
sent
those
to
lines.
Mars. Yeah.
Right. So it was this weird kind of so there's well within the mind of like Twitterverse, you've already set up the idea of okay, these things are relatively possible. And then if you tie that now with the whole the Tokyo boys, for one of a better way of calling them, the Tokyo boys,
Oh yeah,
and
who
their
who was who? Like, by the
whole
way, well, as I said previously, um, why like okay, like I get why they're in the film though, but the thing I just couldn't get over is that this is what y'all doing. Y'all tried
yeah,
Yeah.
to create
yeah.
like 2 second cars, and y'all using like rockets. Like this is what Sean and Bow Wow, can't call him little Bow Wow anymore. Like
Yeah.
that's what y'all doing now. Like Jesus, come on.
I figure they're making money
Yeah.
somewhere beside. But even that self, between Tej's Tej tech savvy and they're doing all these kind of rocket scenes and the idea of somebody actually in real life bungee jumping and having a car sent into space, you kind of set up almost a oh okay we're going in space and like even the idea of the scuba gear. I remember, watching like a few random NASA documentaries. One of the things that they tend to do is like you deal with weightlessness by training in a pool. So, that whole for me it was like, oh, so they've decided to, play on the idea of that by using old random scuba gear, which is probably the only thing that they have, and the old helmets that they would have used in the 30s or 40s, that kind of vibe. I just found that entire sequence for me. And again, this for me comes back to if it was because the same idea of taking the duct tape and wrapping it around their hands and all that kind of stuff, that is legitimately what Matt does in The Martian. And it's hailed as a triumph, not just because okay maybe the idea of bringing in an astronaut or three and saying this is how it would work, but it's hailed as a triumph because Matt Damon is the performer as opposed to an ex-rapper, because I can't tell you the last time I heard Ludacris had an album. So ex-rapper and Tyrese in a thing with a Back to the Future kind of rocket fuel thing going up in that's a heights. But I that was heights for me. I really loved it. I really laughed.
Okay. Okay.
All right, let's talk quickly about well, for me, a missed opportunity, and that would be the villain, right? Jacob Toretto, played by John Cena, aka John Cena sucks, right? Um, I felt like just watching it over again, I felt like his character, or at least the motivation of his character, was a little too heavily reliant on the flashbacks, right? For one
Right.
thing, I didn't expect to see flashbacks. Looking at it now, I do appreciate it now because you actually see Dominic's keep seeing Dominic's Dom's dad now. You see what happened, how he died. You You see the actual incident involving the wrench that got Dom arrested in the first place. You see all that play out. And as I said before, for me, this felt like it was just there to justify, oh, he actually does have a brother, but this is why we didn't really bring it up because we never really show any flashbacks at all, right? It's like, oh, because to all the fans, right, to the hardcore fans, they're gonna be like, what? You have a brother? I didn't know that. So you have these flashbacks to be like, oh, okay, he does. All right, well, okay, cool. But yeah, I felt like with Jacob's character, I felt it was just overly reliant on the flashbacks. It's just like, oh well, mean you didn't want me to be part of the family. You turned your back on me, and Dom was like, no, you killed our father, and blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. Now, so it's just so ironic now. I shouldn't say ironic. It's just like, well, we just had to write it because it's a Fast Furious movie, right? That his younger brother now is pretty much this evil secret agent of sorts who tried to acquire this device to do this stuff, right? You know what I mean? Like you think it would be something a little bit more personal. It's just like, well, it just so happens that my strange brother is doing all these nefarious acts, right? As far as the heel turn in the end though, it, it's not to say that we didn't see it coming a mile away though, but I felt it could have been better justified. Like, oh well, that douchey billionaire guy that you're working for, yeah, he turned your back on you. So yeah, all right, now I'll come, now I'll go into the fast team now because yeah, basically this guy come and stab him back, right? So yeah, what I mean? I felt we could have got more of that though. And last though, well, you all can wait on this, right? I felt we could have got more, just more moments with Vin Diesel and John Cena. I felt he didn't really get enough of them, right? You get a couple of talky moments, you got that shot with them, fixing the guns at each other, little fight and whatnot. But I felt like we could have gotten a little bit more in terms of just really building that tension between the two. And yeah, just kind of really justified, well, oh, well, this is why the younger brother of Dom is doing all these crazy things. You know what I mean? But it was just like, well, we just need a villain, so it just happened to be him, right? And we just unfortunately again, waste Charlize Theron's character, right? Cypher, like just
Yep.
having her be decided all of a sudden, oh yeah, I'm actually, front this and all along, but you still not giving her much to do, huh? So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens in the last film, or 10 or 11, right? But yeah, guys, any thoughts on just the John Cena character in this film?
I was just going to say, like, I mean, I agree with you in terms of the mile away connection, because I mean, Fast and Furious is all about family, and if you can turn Hans Killer and all of them into now becoming part of the Fast franchise and more or less anti-heroes, then it would have made sense that little brother Toretto would eventually come. But I do agree with you in terms of John Cena's character could have had a little bit more meat, either that or you make Cypher, Palpatine. Make Cypher the Palpatine of the series. Make Cypher the one who, Charlize Theron's character. Make her like pulling the strings, and every time you think you've defeated her, she comes back and does even more things. I would prefer to
Oh,
see.
speaking of Cypher, sorry to cut you. Speaking of
Mm.
Cypher, props for the Star Wars this that she threw the guy. We
The
compared him to
hands
Yoda,
up.
because you're popping with your hand up your ass. Like I was like,
Somebody has
ha
a hand up
ha
there.
ha 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 ha. I like that. Yeah.
But even with that, to be honest with you, in terms of, I mean, we won't go into much, but like in terms of the writing, that joke felt like it was a little too long because he comes in screaming that he wants get the Millennium Falcon and get what do you call this guy? Get Chewbacca to
Yeah.
go after them, and then they do this whole Luke into Han thing. If it was just like a singular joke in terms of who you are in terms of Star Wars, you're Yoda with a hand up your ass. It might have been a little bit more.
Right.
Sure, it might have been
Agreed.
punchy.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
But in terms of John though, like I will smirk and say, this is the year of John. John is having the funnest time because the two movies that we're talking about,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
he gets to play himself completely with that. Uh, but I agree with you guys. I feel like maybe there could have been a great deal more depth. I did figure, I mean, I think we all knew that, he was going to become part of the family one way or
Yeah,
the other.
yeah. Well, it's family. Family's
Yeah.
first.
Well.
Dominic,
Well. To be
Dominic
fair, to
Toretto say so.
Yeah, but to the show's defense, though, I do like that they kind of have it as, you know what, like we work together, we do this thing. That's Dom and Jacob. We still not close, but you know what? You take the keys. Like you leave, right? But it's good for now. Like I'm not expecting it to show up in any one of my barbecues anytime soon. But you know what? Let me just kind of put this
Well,
under the bridge for now and just move on, right? So it's not like the kind of kiss and make up basically. It's just like, well, you know what? Yeah. We can link up another time, right? So cool. I like that. I like that.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, and I'll end with this. I wouldn't be surprised, though, even, if Hobbs and Shaw too, they need to go and talk to someone of their assets or something like that, and it turns out to be, little Toretto, who is now on the side of goodness and righteousness and
Yeah.
stopping somebody else doing something else. I mean, that is generally the pattern. So, John might very well have a career left in terms of the Fast franchise until it officially ends.
Right, right. Alice, anything quickly you want to say on John Cena?
Um, y'all are going to think that I'm very critical, but this is my honest thoughts on that character. I honestly felt like he was something that they just shoved inside him. Really
Yeah.
and truly. It did not flow very well to me. The like you all rightly pointed out, there was a high dependency on flashbacks to try to give any sort of character development for this character that we know nothing about. They've waited 8 movies and not even the hint of, oh, this great brother Jacob who we have not seen for years, blah blah blah, whatever. And I just couldn't wrap my head around the fact that you're looking at a man with kind of dark blonde hair and blue eyes, and you're telling me that that is Vin Diesel's brother. It's like
Well,
I'd
well,
rather
I love
they
how the
get
film
somebody
went
who's
out to the
mixed.
way. Sorry, I love how the film went out to the way to have Cypher say, I know, the Toretto bloodlines, and you have a little Nordic strain in you. Like, okay,
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
that was a good
all
way to
right,
yeah,
punch
they
that in.
thought that
yeah, all right.
that
That's
was
Uh,
like that's a,
explain
that's such
away.
a dumb storyline, but whatever.
It is,
I
it is
know, right?
dumb. It's like, oh my god! It's like that is how you trying to explain to me that that guy is his brother. I'm like, no, come on, no.
Yeah,
I'm
whatever.
sorry. I was not born yesterday. I'm not swallowing that. And like I think that they've been trying to, not they've been trying to. I said they did it in this film because I think everybody who is a fan of the franchise must admit that the death of Paul Walker really hit that franchise hard because there was just this great brotherly chemistry on screen, off screen between Vin Diesel and Paul Walker, and it was something that couldn't be recreated. Yes, the rest of the characters are family and such, but I just thought that the weak, even the weak reason that they brought back Han as well, to which I have issues with that as well too. They're trying to probably create another character, so why can't it be Dominic's real blood brother coming back and all is forgiven? I don't know. I just can't get behind how that character was just thrown inside there, and I could have seen the betrayal coming a mile off. I just knew it. I sat there and I basically um, revealed the rest of the entire movie for my husband before it happened. Like I was psychic. So I
And
don't
he
know.
was
I
probably
just
like, "Why did you spoil the movie for me?"
no. To be honest with you, my husband is a huge fan of the Fast and Furious franchise. We've watched most of them like over a lot of times already. Every time it's on, we watch it because cable always repeating everything. But he got bored of it pretty fast before it even reached halfway through.
Wow.
He was literally
Huh.
bored of it, and that says a lot. We were very disappointed in this one. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
back to the character John Cena. Did not work for me.
Huh.
Yeah.
I feel your pain, right? And
Yeah.
last thing last now, speaking of characters, well, side characters who show up, right? Tracy, you mentioned Hobson Shaw. Well, I don't think that there will be a sequel anytime soon because the Rock pretty much say Dwayne Johnson pretty much doesn't want anything to do with the Fast franchise again. And I can't believe maybe he's gonna be Black Adam, right? So screw it. So uh
But the
three
thing is,
characters. So
there's a
sorry.
sorry, there was an article that came out recently where his publicist was talking about it, and he's not going to be in the Fast franchise itself, but they did say that the studio is very eager to have them go back to do Hobbs and Shaw too, and that's how I found out about Fast 11 was supposed to be coming. So he may be, in
Oh,
terms
okay,
of the
okay, okay.
Fast franchise, he might be, look, I'm not going anywhere near Vin Diesel again because I'll cough him down. But the standalone universe, whatever that is of Hobbs and Shaw, he might very well be in that. It's going to be interesting.
Right, right, right.
Yeah,
So
hasn't
yeah,
the Hobson Show,
go ahead, go
sorry
ahead.
guys, hasn't the Hobson Show sequel already been greenlighted? Or that's still not confirmed?
In
I know we're supposed to
development.
have one, but yeah, I'm not sure if it's greenlit or not.
Oh,
All right, so just last thing last now. Yeah, three characters, right? So you kick off with Hubs, right? Sorry, with Shaw, Deckard Shaw. Oops, right? Who shows up at the end? Post credit scene. I like the setup with him, you know what I mean? Like, but at first, you see them punching, at this punching bag now, and then he zips it open. But I swear that it was the first time I saw it, like I actually thought that it was the same billionaire, the douchey billionaire guy there. But I remember, oh no, he actually died in the sort of big, vehicle thing that got blown up with Cypher's jet, right? Sorry,
yeah,
drone, sorry, right?
yeah.
So yeah, as you open the door now, you see it's Han, right? So the biggest see with the movie, from for the first time we saw him in the trailer, the first trailer is Hans, like Han being back there. I was just there waiting to see how they're gonna justify it. And for me, I still can't buy into it though. Like
Yeah.
it
Dumb.
it's so but they
It's too dumb.
really go out the way to make you believe that it makes sense. Like, all right, I understand that he went off the grid, after the events of Fast Furious 6. Okay, I understand that. Okay, cool, 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 right? But we saw it twice. We saw it in Fast 3, we saw it in Fast 6. He died
Yeah.
in
Dumb.
Tokyo. Car blew up.
Dumb.
Now you tell me that Mr. Nobody actually used as a cover up now for him to hide his identity. So that was all like a ruse now. So everybody would think he dead. And
Yeah.
it was all what to protect this girl who knew any devices and all that kind of stuff. Is like what but
Yeah.
all that though.
That's
And
the
this how
extra. That's the extra bullshit.
yeah, and the show
Yeah.
like literally stops and have him like tell the story trend. And then by the time he reach and say, well, yeah, it was all a ruse, and Mr. Nobody just did this. So yeah, he just kind of moves on to something else. He just still there, like, what, how do I? Right? So yeah, that still doesn't make any sense. Right? But for me personally, I think that he was brought into the movie brought back in the franchise because hey, I mean, Deckard Shaw is a hero now, right? So can have a guy who killed one of the fast crew members, just suddenly be a hero. Like, no, we have to bring back Han, right? So I feel that's the real justification why, right? And last thing, last though, something that I didn't like, I thought that was really nice, but I didn't pick up on though, until the second time now. The little cameo, if you will, but it's not really a cameo. It's just like, or if you look closely, or if you really think about it, you realize, hey, it's actually Brian O'Connor. So he actually shows up at the end now with with these films they always have the traditional barbecue, right? And then they say, well,
Yeah.
there's one seat we available. They just waiting for the last person to show up there. But you had like the first time I saw it, stupid me actually thought that it was Jacob there, like Jacob just
Hmm.
change. I had to show up there. But actually, like when you think about it, it's like no, it's like actually because it brought him up earlier. It's Brian. It's like oh well, it actually makes sense, right? Brian shows up, but it's just the car pulls up and the show stops there. So it's like
Yeah.
okay, that was nice. That makes sense, right? But yeah, guys, any thoughts on the inclusion of Shaw and sorry, Deckard Shaw and Deckard Shaw had and that quick little inclusion of little tribute, if you will, to Brian O'Connor.
Well, I really, for sentimental value, I really enjoyed that little shot of a hint that, oh, there's Brian, everything is fine and stuff like that. You could kind of detach from reality and try not to think about the fact that the actual actor is, has passed away. So it was a really fitting tribute to something that's very close to the end of its run, the franchise that's at the end of its run. In terms of that whole story with Han and Deckard Shaw, I have huge issues about it. There are giant plot
Mhm.
holes in that thing, gaping plot holes. Like you said, everybody saw more than once that Han died, right? So all of a sudden, because you want to redeem Deckard Shaw's character and make him not be the villain to the family, it's like, yeah, oh no, oops, Han was alive all this time. And another character that I had issues with, which was connected to everybody, is Mr. Nobody. How come
Oh
all of a
God, yeah.
sudden everybody seemed to be looking for Mr. Nobody and Mr.
I
Nobody
know, right?
everybody? It's like, really? You
Yeah,
have the
even
source, even
Jacob
if it's,
working for him.
yes,
That didn't make any sense to me. Like, okay, well,
it makes
yeah,
sense.
he was a rogue agent too. Oh gosh, man. Like,
Yeah,
it's not Dom was working for Mr. Nobody for the first film. He was just like a street
exactly.
racer slash, robber, right? You know what I mean? So
Exactly, but they've
yeah,
been on a couple missions now. Mr. Nobody is not like a stranger to Dom, like you rightly said. So you mean to tell me all this time Mr. Nobody knew that his brother, that Dom's brother, is working for him as well too, and he didn't say anything about it? That's
Yeah.
why I said
Dom.
everything is just thrown inside it. It's like, okay, let's throw this in there and throw that in there. It's nothing is connected to each other and nothing makes sense. Yeah, they're trying very hard to make it make sense, but I'm sorry, it's just not cohesive to me. I appreciate the fact that I'm glad to see Han is alive, but you should have come up with a way better explanation than that. You know?
yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah.
All right, well, Tracy, just to rouse things up, yeah, your thoughts on the tribute to Brian in the end, and the inclusion of Han and Deckard Shaw in this film.
So the first time I saw it, I kind of did a gasp because I was between, is it Baby Toretto or is it because Jacob, right? Jacob. Is it Jacob or is it Brian? I feel that maybe no, because they've already blown up the house. But at some point in time, we're gonna have to address this because deepfake is goes only so far in terms of putting somebody's face on somebody else. So I feel then that by bringing Brian to the celebration and everything like that, I wouldn't be surprised if when 10, because 10 and 11 is meant to be the end. So I wouldn't be surprised if, 10, you see him and Mia driving off from the family barbecue, and it's a side profile from the brother's face that they just kind of fix something on, and boom, his car blows up, or Cypher totally decides to kill him off, and so 10 and 11 becomes vengeance for Brian, because you're going to have to address the fact that Paul is gone, like in our in-world sensibility.
Right.
uh so with that, okay, so for me, that's my little fan thing there on the side. I feel like everything in terms of the stuff that we're talking about, like Han and Deckard and stuff like that, there, and even with Jacob's interaction with Mr. Nobody, there could have been ways, because at this point it's Car Avengers, it's Car Avengers
Yeah.
that we watch it. There could have been small ways, maybe in the script, and I would hate to think that there might have been a deleted scene or three that could have tied things together, that would have explained things a little better. So, for example, if it is, and I'm talking out of my face here, but if it is like Natasha has those face masks where you put it on somebody and you can look like somebody else, so there was actually another agent in the car and it got blown up. Or if it is you did like a Nick Fury thing where Nick had in Winter Soldier, where he had that thing that could drill a hole, light a hole in the earth of itself, so Han was able to get away. Something to show that, at least what that is concerned, as opposed to him just showing up behind. In terms of like Jacob working with Mr. Nobody, I mean, like for me, that went over. I hear what you guys are saying, but for me, it went over my head in terms of, or rather, I accepted it because when you're watching any random spy movie, there's always that leader who has a need to know basis. So you don't need to know, as in you, Dominic, and the rest of them, don't need to know that I have had your brother working on the side unless it actually becomes important to the mission. And et voila, it becomes important to the mission now that a rogue agent comes in. So maybe the script could have tied all of that a little bit together better. If there is a Hobbs and Shaw 2, like in real works, then I suspect that maybe Han coming in will be a major, either a major foil for them, or the first 45 minutes of the movie is going to be Han wanting to kill Shaw, and then there's a greater villain, there's a greater thing out there, and then all
Right,
three
right.
of them have to work together, the usual BS. So yeah, that's kind of where I leave that entire grouping there.
Right, right.
I think the core problem for me is that when something like, okay, superhero bullshit, you could understand why it'll get confusing and convoluted. This have
Right.
no excuse. This have no excuse to get this convoluted.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And because here's the problem, I have zero, like, just from a writing speculative nerd side of me, I have zero effort or caring to make sense of this. Like, usually I'll come up with like, oh well, you could do this and you could do that to square the answer. Don't care. I really don't care. And I was like, yeah, they just had to wrap this up. Last two movies, make the father the villain or some bullshit like that, and then let you wrap it up. Because again, real tired of this shit. Sorry to say it, but the problem with the franchise is that the franchise is now in it kind of it's a kind of what you call it, boy, uncanny valley of storytelling where
Mhm.
it too serious for me to enjoy it, but too ridiculous for me to take it serious. Right? So it's kind of the worst of both worlds right now. Either get serious and be grounded and make it work, or go more ridiculous. Like straight up crossover Jurassic Park or Transformers at this point. Like, just do that. Like, straight up make a Cadillacs and Dinosaurs movie. Like, just do that shit. Enough.
Yeah.
Enough.
For
Choose
real.
which
Wrap it
side
up.
you want to be on. Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, enough of this. I'm so tired of this because where it is right now is literally the worst place it could be, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I
For
agree.
real.
I have
Yeah.
this
So
feeling that maybe
yeah, go on.
douchey guy's father, as you said, father there, might actually be, if not Cypher, might be the villain for the next one or the next two,
No,
because
bring back Dom's father.
well,
Have him
for
have
have
him be
him
the big.
rise
That's
from
the
the
big
dead.
twist. Yeah, that's the big twist at the end. It's like, oh shit, he was alive this entire time and he's an asshole.
He's a
And you
looking
do
ass.
something, and you do
And in a world where somebody could survive a car explosion,
exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
or get hit by a car. I think that's what happened with Letty, right? Like she got hit or something like that. Like
oh
if
yeah,
characters could,
she was an explosion, I think, if I remember
Yeah,
right?
correctly.
she was in
Yeah,
an
yeah,
She
explosion.
was an
And you
right,
explosion.
actually saw the
And
right.
body
her,
burning up too, but
but
anyway.
like exactly, yeah. No, I find her coming back was more far fetched than Han, to be honest, right? But she came back and
Yeah.
she never had scratch. She looked clean. It's not like she had like surgery or nothing. Clean.
Yeah. No
She
bone
only lose
Yeah,
she
scar.
memory.
or she had loose memory,
Yeah,
right?
she had
Well,
amnesia somehow.
it's just a
All
memory
right.
Yeah, but
loss,
it was a few years between her leaving and coming back, at least in the movie verse. So which means then whatever show, the other show that had her working with her, whatever it is he told her, however he might have treated her, if he, did whatever to surgery wise or anything like that,
I don't
she
know.
would have come back looking clean anyhow. So for me,
I
it was
don't.
like, yeah.
I know about all that. I don't know if you'd see it look that clean. Well, it's movie world. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Well,
depends.
my rating for the film was 3 out of 5. It was all right. Ricardo, I remember yours was 6 out of 10, right? So
yeah, it's like whatever.
yeah. So Alice and Tracy in closing, just final thoughts and rating.
Well, I in I give it a 5 out of 10. Really and truly. And it was lucky that it got a 5 because of sentimental value in terms of that. But really and truly, I agree with Ricardo at this point. I tired of the franchise. I just want it to
Yeah,
be
I'm
done.
bored.
Yeah, just be done with it. What are you all gonna do next time? Steal a rocket and go to outer
Yeah.
space, fight
I said,
aliens? I don't.
yeah, no, but that was it. If they do that, I'll prefer that. Like if they cross over with the Transformers, straight up
Yeah,
have my boy driving Bumblebee. Just do
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
Just
Yeah.
drive
yeah.
Bumblebee, or as I
True.
said, cross over Jurassic Park. Do some shit. You know, anybody ever see it's had an old cartoon called Cadillacs and Dinosaurs? Those are video game too. You could do that.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. It just jump 300 years in the future. General Toretto is frozen. And he comes and he has to drive a car again.
No. What's
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
He must
you know,
fulfill his
I just
purpose in
pitching-
life again.
I just pitching the parallel universe Rick and Morty movie, right?
No,
You know,
it
two
sounds
brothers.
a lot more fun. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just do that shit. Who cares? Like that'll sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
Tracy.
I just
Well,
wanted
to
to-
close things off, yeah, your final thoughts and rating.
Right, so I give it an 8. I had fun. Every time I watch a Fast and Furious movie, I'm putting it out there. My personal dream or whatever. I want to write a Tej backstory. Like because I am sure that when this is over, when 11 is done, they're going to start doing the origins. We already got to see a young Finn, a young
FNF
Dom.
Origins.
Right.
I legitimately want to see a FF Tej origins,
Yeah.
and I want to write that. So yeah,
I wouldn't mind if they do a crossover with Tej and a spin-off with Tej and Roman and bring in I forget Natalie Emmanuel's character's names.
uh,
I forget her name.
no, God, it'll come
Something.
back to me. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but the three of them, like they could make something with the three of them. Make that work. That'll be fun. Like they could do that. And
They
you know,
have 2 techies
we
and
talk-
1 comic relief. Yeah.
right, exactly. Exactly. But the thing is all three of them kind of comic relief and you know love triangle anyway, so you can
Yeah.
make it work now.
Oh
They
boy.
have
Yeah.
great chemistry with each other. I agree.
Exactly. And look, people just forget. I don't know why it is that people just forget that you know a soundtrack for a movie is a good thing. Make a soundtrack for a movie. People forget that Tyrese is an amazing singer. Tyrese and Chris crossover album for a movie. Come on, easy. That's easy
I
marketing.
am here for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.